I do want to touch before we do a quick fire on just gaming, because I think there's just some like classic mistakes that people make. The one I hear all the time are, it's such a hits-driven business, huh? Is that fair?
I do understand why people say it, right? I think if you look at the history of gaming, you look at console, games developers, and I think there has been a hit-driven nature historically. However, I think people say it and mean that, success in gaming is random. I think it's all, people don't really mean hit-driven. They say just, no one knows how successful you are. With mobile gaming, I do take issue with that. I don't think it's a hit-driven business. I think it's a data-driven business. And I think you need to create hits, but the way you create hits is very, very different. Again, I can give many counterexamples. Playrix is a perfect example. They've had 4 hits. Tripledot, we have multiple hits under our belt. The guys that are at Dream Games, they had multiple hits, on and on and on, right? And if you look at the business as a whole, the success of a mobile game has nothing to do with how you make the game. It's all about how you operate the game. And how you operate the game is not, I think a lot of times people think about gaming and they think about people in, dreadlocks sitting in a room with bean bags and just kind of ideating stuff. That's not at all how it works, right? It's just all about how you operate the game, what decisions you make, very analytically driven. And live operations is such an integral part of how to make those games work and scale that it just, by definition, it cannot be hit driven, right?
Would you ever invest in a founder who's never created a hit game?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. You wouldn't rely on that as a historical data point that's like, they know how to do it.
No, not at all. I have invested in founders who have not created a hit game, because I think it's about, articulating kind of what you've learned in that journey, and the best part about investing in the domain that you've spent time in is you can ask very pointed and, to the matter questions. And I can say, tell me about how you would think about XYZ, and how will you market this game? How will you monetize the game? What are the things and you can really form a mental picture of how they think.
Do you worry about being the expert investor? So I missed Riverside, which is a great podcasting tool. I missed Descript because I was like, I know this better than anyone. I've done 3,000 shows. Idiot expert. Do you worry that you know too much to actually be an effective investor? You're not. You're a fucking great investor.
I don't worry about it, because I think, if I don't invest in a company, there's always a reason at the time that I don't invest in it. And, hindsight is 20/20. There will always be misses that, as an investor, you will not participate in XYZ. Like, that's just part of what you have to be comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to learn from those misses, but you can't really just go back and say, oh my God, why did I miss that? You can't beat yourself over the head too much.
What's the biggest miss you've had?
Okay, so here's one. Look, it's not like if I was asked for it or not, right? Because at the time I couldn't invest anyway, but I know Lior invested in Moon Active early on. And it's not like I was asked to invest, but I knew that they were raising money at the time and so on. So if I really wanted to invest, I could probably get in. That would be a great investment. But the reason I struggle with it is because I was not investing at the time per se. But that's a perfect example, right? Like Moon Active was not an overnight success story. It actually, Mooley, who's a very, very dear friend, he went through a lot of trials and tribulations. And I now, knowing the Mooley that I know now, like if I had the kind of vision at the time to potentially invest, I would love to. Lior did, and he's very happy. So.
I want to get back to the gaming before we move on. Sure. You hear about gaming market misconceptions. It could be size, it could be timing. Yes. What are other things on the gaming market where you're like, people get it so wrong?
Yes. I mean, the size is just comical. I mean, there's a lot of things you listen to around saying, like, gaming is bigger than movies and films combined, right? That's a very real thing. But even then, people misunderstand how big gaming is. People think it's, $150 billion business. It's way, way larger. My favorite example to give, it's a bit of a cheeky example, but there's a game called Pachinko in Japan. And Pachinko is this kind of like Japanese version of their, I guess, slot machines, etc. And there's Pachinko parlors in Japan. And the average revenue per year from Pachinko is larger than the Japanese auto industry, which is several $100 billion a year, right? So if you just take that sliver of information, that is a type of game that might not be mobile gaming, but that's people actually spending real money and time and energy playing games. That is not included in any gaming market size estimation.
Is that casino gaming? Are they playing for money?
So actually, if you go to a Pachinko parlor, you cannot withdraw money due to regulation. So you get kind of like different type of toys, etc., and then you have to go and change those toys in a next door shop for money, and it's just a whole system that they've articulated. So
would you not say that's gambling, like bro to bro?
But gambling is also a form of gaming. I'm not saying necessarily that gaming is big because of gambling, right? But you take a look at social. I would even venture to say there's not a lot of people that can actually look under the hood between Candy Crush versus Slotomania, because match 3 games, you could actually make a very credible argument that they are social casino games as well, the way that it's kind of architected underneath. So the point is, it is a misunderstood market. The size is not really known. If you look at all these market sizes, like they don't actually include gaming related ad tech. They don't count how we make our money, for instance, because we make our money mostly by showing ads.
Sure.
And those market size estimates, they don't count companies like us, for instance, which is absolutely crazy. And the other thing I would say is that people have this misconception in their minds that gaming folks tend to be these uber creative types that are hanging out in a beanbag in a room. But that's just not the case at all. Like the day in, day out of gaming companies is very, very analytical, very kind of, if you take my daughter into Tripledot, she might think she's in a hedge fund, given some of the discussions that are taking place. It's all math, analytical, data-driven decisions. So
no, I know where I'm stealing marketing people from now. At least.